While many think Rudy Gobert is the front runner to win his 4th Defensive Player of the Year award, the players poll disagree. They picked Wemby as the league's best defender with more than 15% of the vote. Gobert finished 6th in voting behind Drew Holiday, Lou Dort, Herb Jones, and his teammate Jaden McDaniels. Gobert did take the top spot in another poll, though, getting voted as the most overrated player in the league.
Dillon Brooks. Like, that's hate. Why don't we talk about Dillon Brooks?
But that makes sense because his mouth versus his game.
I'm like, nobody.
But you see, Trey Burke is up there again.
What you got? So Jordan Poole, Trey, Dillon Brooks.
Trey Young.
Trey Young. You said, I was like, damn, Trey Burke made the list.
Who said Trey Burke?
You did.
I don't even know who fucking Burke is. Who the fuck is Trey Burke?
Guard from Michigan.
Oh, that is a person.
Yeah, you just got Hooper's name in your mind. You did. The chat heard it. Gills confirmed we are live.
Is there a Burke on there?
I think you said Brooks.
I said Brooks.
You were trying to say
Dillon Brooks.
You were trying to say Brooks.
Oh, okay.
You could
My bad.
combine Trey Young and Dillon Brooks and Trey Burke.
You get Trey.
You did Trey Burke. You around here long enough.
I done mixed two.
It ain't even Dillon. It's Dillon Brooks, not Trey.
Like
Dillon Burke.
The thing
Dillon
with
Burke.
like
Dillon Burke.
Gabe Vincent will turn into Sam Vincent, but you hear him say, okay, he's talking about your mind. He's talking about Gabe.
But Trey Burke is actually a good guard. Trey Burke is actually a good player.
Trey Burke is a very solid basketball player.
Hold on. A busy sheep. Rondo averaged 7.9 assists for his career. I get it.
For that season.
We're talking about for that season when they won the championship.
Yeah, the championship season.
Gil's very, very involved with the chat. We'll take any time we need to correct you. Thank you for allowing me to reassume my hosting duties.
This list, it's like half of you get more accolades than your game, and then the other half looks like they talk more than.
Yeah. So so most
Look at
overrated.
all the names at the bottom.
Most overrated, I can see. Okay, Jordan Poole. After what he did this year, okay, if he's number one, makes sense.
Pat Bev.
Right? Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert.
That's straight from people just not thinking he deserves all those defensive player of the years.
Higher or lower on the list, you feel like?
Top.
Who?
Pat Bev?
Top.
How? He hasn't won any awards. He don't get paid.
I don't know what. I'm just saying he at the top. Like
for most
SAG, rebound, he with us.
For most overrated.
He's when Rashad thinks about overrated, he's thinking about you talk more than.
Bro, get your ass up out of here.
When I think of overrated, I'm like, you get more attention and accolades than you should deserve.
Like that's what I'm saying. Rudy Gobert, you're getting awards that players don't think you should be getting.
But he definitely deserves all of the things that he's got. And
No,
I watched him play last night. That nigga be all over the place. He do exactly what he's out there to do. Be a center, block shit, rebound shit, and disturb shit. He do exactly what he supposed to do.
The one thing he can't do is guard his own man.
Yes, he can.
He cannot.
He was blocking shit. The nigga threw that mother. No, in the post, threw it up. Get that shit out of here.
One block, okay.
He do it all the time. He do it all the time.
It was so funny before he even
Rashad, he had
traded.
one block last night.
That was the block I'm talking about. Get that shit out of here.
I said one block.
Get that shit out of here.
Like,
It was a powerful block. It was a big time block
too. Even when I was
too.
listening to the commentary, they're like, oh, he just adjusts, but he doesn't actually block.
So altering shots.
Altering shots, but they're like his presence, but like no, sometimes guys are just missing. It doesn't have anything to do with him all the time.
Vex.
Not all the time.
Anthony Edwards, before he came to the Anthony Edwards said, when they're talking about, you going in, Rudy Gobert, he said, no one's scared of Rudy Gobert. What the fuck is he doing? He doesn't,
But now you have someone like Wemby who is actually doing all that, and Chet, and it's making Rudy look not like
you have a 7-footer down there, period, and you're a guard, you go into the hoop, I'm going to challenge. There are different types of motherfuckers that go to the hoop. I'm looking for contact, I'm looking for a big, come on in here. If you can block it, block it. DeAndre Jordan, Kenyon Martin, Dillon Brooks, all these big-time shot blockers adjusted your shot. You get down there, man, you better dunk it. But that's better dunk it.
But now there's guys down there who are actually blocking the shit out of people constantly, and that's why I don't think you can win it anymore.
You're talking about Defensive Player of the Year, and
when you go down there, you better finish it, or he's gonna block that shit.
One block.
That's why they don't go down there.
So
they do though.
They wasn't.
Yes, they do.
No, they wasn't last night.
But think about
They were shooting jump shots.
Think about it.
They were shooting jump shots.
But think about it. Players are saying, we're more, this you got to understand, and this is why I say, if you don't play basketball, it's hard for you to actually grasp the understanding. Players are saying, we're scared of this guy versus the guy you're giving all the trophies to. The guy you're giving all the trophies to, he doesn't fear us. We're afraid of this young dude coming in there. We're really second guessing everything we're doing out there. When we do pick and rolls, and like Ben Wallace and K Mark and Rashad, pick and rolls with them is like,
K Mark.
You know what I mean? Like, and then there's some guys who's getting defense awards. I'm like, dog, this is fucking lunch meat down here. He's sorry.
But there's a difference, though, Gil. The assessment of being a good defensive player is not just being feared for shooting and blocking a shot. It's being in the right spots. It's being able to adjust shots. It's being able to rotate right. It's being able to get deflections. It's being able to do a lot of different things. Rudy covers the board. And you know what he does? He gets defensive boards.
Woo, he gets a rebound.
So a lot of these dudes don't fucking rebound.
Okay, so Westbrook is a great defensive player because he gets defensive rebound.
He's a good defensive rebounder.
So in regards to how him and his career are viewed, Gobert had this to say. In their eyes, I'm more like the old guy from
I was
France
like, what
that's winning a lot of awards. It can be bother people. I impact the game in a very unique way. It's maybe not as cool or not as flashy as some of the other guys. So it's sometimes harder for them to respect that. I just think I'm just mostly misunderstood. I think I trigger a lot of these guys.
Oh, wait, that makes
I'm part
me sad.
French, so I had to really bring it in. He triggered people.
Even his boo
With
came
what?
out and said, leave my man alone.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying, trigger him with what?
Leave my French man alone, man.
If you play
He ain't
defense,
been the same since Draymond choked him.
if you play defense, right, offensive players is going to respect you, right? You don't see anyone saying, all right, Dillon Brooks is overrated on defense. No one says Drew Holiday is overrated on defense, right? No one says when White won it, oh, he's overrated on defense. Marcus Smart, no one's saying he's overrated on defense, right? These guys, he actually is playing defense.
Rashad, if he wins over Wemby, why? Why does Rudy win over Wemby?
All right, stat man. Let me get my stats right.
Because we were talking about how the Timberwolves have one of the top defenses in the league, correct?
Team, yes.
Team.
They're number one.
But when
Their
Wemby's on the floor versus off the floor is like night and day defensively. So how do you decide which one is more important when you win an
Rudy's averaging 2 blocks a game, 12 rebounds a game, 14 points a game. Those 2 blocks testament to the number 2 team in the West.
I think top-ranked defense this season.
He's the anchor.
And finished third in the West.
He's the anchor. And when you're the anchor and you don't have to cover as much ground as Wemby has to, right? You have to do more because your team sucks.
Who?
Wemby. He has to do more. Rudy doesn't have to do as much because we have a total team that I'm anchoring. Just like KG, when he was playing for the Boston Celtics, the one thing they needed was a fucking anchor that can say, hey, Paul, you ain't got to play that much defense because me and TA got this. And me and Rondo and TA got this. Hey, Ray Allen, we know you don't like to play no defense like that. Send them to us. We got you. That's an anchor. That's what made KG the defensive player of the year because he knew the elements of how to rotate, how to be here, how to show, how to block shots, how to alter shots. I think Rudy does all of those things. Like he said, I affect the game in a unique way that may not be cool. It may not be blocking shots out of bounds every fucking 5 seconds. But I know these dudes don't want to fuck with me defensively. I know a lot of these guys know I'm out here and they got to pull me away from the basket in order for them to have some type of effect in the game. And that's where the game is going. You pull big, hey, Rudy, we got to pull him away from the basket.
Right, and he can't get no stops out there.
Exactly. So
why does that make him the defensive player of the year?
Because you have to do that in order for the game to work in your benefit.
So you're saying he doesn't have to do as much, right? So if it's baking a cake.
He averages less steals, less blocks. He only averages 2 more rebounds than Wemby. And he averages 9 less points than Wemby.
So if we're building a cake, you're basically saying he is the anchor of it. So
he's the icing.
So he's the icing on the cake, right? So his defense, so the cake is built and he's doing the
icing is extra.
Right? No,
You
no.
can still eat a cake without icing.
No, no,
Nasty,
so, no,
though.
no. So it's
It's a nasty ass
It's a
cake.
muffin.
Hey,
It's a muffin
you ain't
without
never
icing.
baked the cake.
so he's
It's a big ass muffin without the icing.
so he's
Pound cake is delicious.
so
okay?
he's putting
Fair,
the icing
fair.
on the cake, and then you're saying Wemby, he has no cake builder, so he has to build the cake and the icing. Why isn't he a better cook then? Because he has to do everything. He has to crack the eggs, do this and do that to compete with the same guy who just has to put icing on it. See,
The only thing is that's a cheap cake.
says who?
It says the price of the cake because of the wins and the losses. Your cake is cheap because you're putting it together with all the low budget ingredients to make this fucking cake. Me, I got #1 ingredients. Our ingredients to make this cake is red velvet. This is red velvet.
He said our cake. Yeah, because you just have to put this. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
So if you have an Ant-Man and this on your team to help take away your responsibility, then your responsibility ain't a trophy worth.
No, it's just the
Because
icing on the cake.
you're going 50% because someone is doing the job.
No,
for you.
we're never
The
going
kid-
50%.
you
Don't say he's not playing as well. I say he doesn't have to do as much.
Here's a stat that they don't tell you. The #1 defense in the team, the #1 team defense is Minnesota Timberwolves. The #1 team defense when Wemby is playing is Wemby, the Spurs. So you got to remember, he only plays 20-something minutes. So once he leaves the floor, that's when they drop. So when he leaves the floor, they drop.
When Rudy
But when
leaves the
he's
floor,
playing
they
in
don't
the
drop.
game, so when they do tip ball, the #1 defense in the NBA is the Spurs.
That has nothing.
Not Wemby and his cake crew. I mean, not Rudy and his cake crew. The Spurs is the #1 defense in the NBA. When Wemby's off the floor, they go to last.
Let's just go back to what you just said. He's baking this cake by himself. He has the cheap ingredients. It's still a cake.
But it's an
Then why-
individual
why-
award.
finish?
Why is his cake better than?
Can I finish?
But why is his cake better?
Can I finish? You got this red velvet cake, right? With premium icing. It's premium.
Okay.
Like a wedding cake.
Okay.
I'm not giving this Wemby cake to the wedding yet.
It's more like a smash cake for the first birthday.
It's the grandma cake that's with the kid helping the grandma with the cake, and we gonna test this out. This experimenting, and we gonna put it in the refrigerator and we eat it, 2 days out of the week. This is a wedding cake we talking about with the red velvet inside. This is a special occasion cake that this nigga bakes up. This is what I'm saying with Rudy. Wemby ain't got there yet.
But you're saying he ain't got there, but when he's on the floor, they're ranked 1.
I understand that.
Which means when the game starts, when both teams starts the game, Spurs is #1 in defense because he's on the floor.
I get it.
So that means all the cake bakers you have, they're still under this cheap cake you're calling.
I get it.
See, he only becomes a cheap cake because he has to get off the floor. So that means half of the game he's sitting on the bench, which makes the workers trip. He don't have a work squad. So you're saying as an individual award, who's a better defender? Him by himself is ranking 1.
Rudy's already proven on teams prior to this team where he didn't have the #1 defense that he was the defensive player of the year multiple years in a row. He's already proven that. So we're using this metric against Rudy now because there's a guy who's doing what Rudy used to do. It's just so happened that they're both French. Oui. So that's what I'm saying with Rudy. He's saying, I still do what I do best. I'm just on a better team where y'all don't want to give me as much credit. That's
Exactly.
the difference.
He's on but that's what I'm saying. But
He's still a good defensive player
Okay.
that's doing what he
Then
do.
put him on
He-
one of the defensive teams.
He used
Give
to-
Wemby the award that he deserves.
But he used to be baking the same cake Wemby been baking right now. The only difference is now we've moved up.
It's a premium.
But that's the problem. If they're playing the same amount of minutes, there's no Rudy talk. There's no Rudy talk because Wemby is the #1 player in defense. His team is #1.
What you mean?
If he
they're playing
played the
same minutes?
38 minutes a game, Spurs is #1 in defense, but he only
Rudy's
plays
playing
20
38
something.
minutes a game?
He's only playing 20-something minutes.
Rudy not playing
That's what
38
I don't think you're grasping the understanding of what's going on.
I do.
When he's playing, Spurs is number 1. When he's off the floor, they drop to last. So when you calculate all that up, they're at the bottom because he doesn't play as much.
Bro, trust me.
So
I get what you're saying.
That means if it's even field and both play the same amount of minutes, there's no even Rudy.
Rudy playing about 34 minutes.
34 minutes, I see it. And Wemby plays 31.
Like 29-ish, close to
30.
So that means that 5 minutes extra, his team goes last.
No, I get it, bro. Trust me, I get it. I'm just saying it's premium versus generic.
So,
but we would say, then you would have to say Rudy is generic because all he has to do is put icing on the cake.
Do you think Ant and McDaniels will make defensive teams? I feel like if both of them make a defensive team, it's hard to give Rudy a defensive player of the year when you have.
Well, that's like saying Drew Holiday never deserved defensive player, first team, or any defensive team because Giannis was out there. Or Giannis shouldn't have been defensive player of the year 2 years in a row because he was on a good defensive team.
That was my argument.
So, but he's a good defensive player in those years that he won it. Giannis, he was beating shit up. He was defensive rebounding. He was stealing shit. He was doing a bunch of shit. A lot of things in the defensive aspect, those categories are not filled.
I think Wemby is more. You can compare Wemby more to Giannis than Rudy to Giannis as far as their impact defensively.
That's the difference. Everyone's trying to compare rather than just appreciate what each one brings to the table defensively.
So what does Wemby have to do to beat Rudy in Defensive Player of the Year?
This year?
Team has to be better?
This year?
No, just in general, because it seems like Rudy got that shit on lock.
No, he might have it on lock for this year. I think moving forward, there's not going to be a doubt about it for Wemby.
So you know what helps? You know where Wemby gets where he has an advantage of what he's talking about? Because one of the categories they do steals, blocks, defensive rebounds, right? And then they do team defense efficiency, right? Now, if you got 2 other players or 3 other players that actually play defense, that helps Rudy's case, right? Then when you say, then again, opponents' field goals with player as the closest defender. Well, Rudy ain't trying to block 3-point shots, right? So, if some people miss, shit around the basket, he gets that award too. So there's things in here that has nothing to do with actual defense. I don't like the award because it doesn't say who the best individual. You are a lockdown defender. Like when people used to say, who's the best lockdown defender? And I used to say, all right, I used to say Tony Allen, right? The team, they wasn't really that good at defense. Him by himself was a great defensive player. Marcus Banks. By himself, great defensive player. Picking up full court, keeping you from those. That's how I, evaluate defense, right?
But you're evaluating those by your personal assessment of how they guard you. Me, I say, listen, put Marcus Banks in the motherfucking gas chamber. He ain't a good defender at all. You got to sub his ass out. You can't guard me down here. You can only guard me when you pick me up 94 feet when I'm dribbling the ball and you put pressure on me.
That's everybody.
Tony Allen. Put him in motherfucking pick and roll and pick and rolls and then pin downs.
Yep.
He ain't a fucking factor at that point. He's only a factor when you're on the ball and you gotta get him on.
But that's everybody.
It's all contending on certain aspects of the game. Rudy Gobert,
not great.
He may not get
not great in pick and roll. He's bad at switching.
He's great at contesting.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
I've always had a problem with the Defensive Player of the Year award because it's like you could have a player that great on ball, gets through ball screens, but you're not going to be considered for Defensive Player of the Year award because maybe you don't get enough rebounds, you don't get any blocks.
Got to cover all of the aspects.
But he doesn't. You saying wasn't it? He can't guard
for his position. He does.
He can't hard
for his position. He
does.
He
can't hard show. He's horrible at sagging. He's horrible at switching.
But they don't. That's not their team concept.
He's horrible at individual posting up when they post him up.
He contests shots.
That's it. So you're giving.
He gives deflections.
So you just named an award because he's bigger than.
But that's what
no. He blocks shots. He contests shots. He alters shots. He gets deflections. He does a lot of the things within the team concept, which helps the team win. That makes you a defensive player of the year. When Draymond Green won it, why did he win it?
Still,
he wasn't blocking shit. He wasn't blocking he wasn't leading the league in blocks. He wasn't leading the league in blocks.
But what
he was doing all the small things.
What does blocks have to do with deep? He's stopping the guy from actually getting to the basket.
Bro, Draymond Green was the defensive player of the year because he had the energy on a winning team to look like he was making stops by himself. All he was doing was playing into the team concept, and that made him look a lot better than he would if he was on a losing team and he was by himself on the island.
But you can't,
he wouldn't win it.
But you can't, that's make-believe.
What do you mean it's make-believe?
If he was on a losing team, that's fantasy basketball.
So why is
we
it
don't
Rudy?
know that.
Oh, so Rudy's on a winning team, and he's going to win it because he's on a winning team. That ain't fantasy. That's reality.
Talking about
reality is
defense.
Rudy's doing what fucking Draymond is doing.
We don't. Okay, I give you that.
That's why he's gonna win it.
But you just penalized everybody else for not doing something. Oh, he can't come down to pin down. He can't do this. So they can't.
No, I'm saying you was giving them credit for that because they were doing something
picking up full court
specifically for you against you.
And I'm saying, okay, Rudy's flaws is he can't go in pick and roll. He can't hard show. He's horrible at sag. He's horrible playing his man by himself. He can't do that.
Wemby's the same.
That is individual.
Wemby's the same.
That is individual basketball.
But Wemby's the same.
What I'm saying is that's individual. To start to be a defensive player, shouldn't the number one rule be you stop your own man?
But Rudy's.
But think about what I'm saying, right? If I'm defensive player of the year, the one thing I'm supposed to do is stop my man first.
Right.
Fuck team shit. I'm supposed to be able to lock my man up.
It's not fuck team shit when our team scheme is don't worry about your guy.
Again,
you're supposed to do this.
Again, but what I'm saying.
But you want it to fit what you like, though. You like a certain aspect of, man, I wanted to be stop your guy, fuck the team shit. That ain't how basketball works.
I'm glad you said that because then you can't penalize no player for not playing defense because it's a team defensive game.
Absolutely.
So let's get this moving because we had 3 playoff games last night.
It's secondary, though.
I just say I don't like defensive players.
Is it secondary or is it primary? Is it secondary or primary? There's the primary aspect, which what I'm talking about.
Don't worry about Luka.
You're talking about the secondary.
Do not worry about Luka and all of their playing defense because this is a team defensive game.
Absolutely. That's Jason Kidd problem.
So speaking of
Jason Kidd problem.